Hello, people of the internet. My name is JD Shadow. You have probably heard by now about Froskurinn's or Indiana Black's little rant on G4, where she said that Morgan Webb and Olivia Munn weren't on the channel in order to be eye candy. Now, not only is she smearing everybody because people are trying to call out her lack of enthusiasm or lack of knowledge about the game that she is talking about, but she is devaluing the legitimate talents of those people who came before her, whose boots she is not worthy to lick. But yes, she is smearing those people who are lobbing legitimate criticisms at her and trying to lie to you into thinking that the only reason they are doing any of this and their only reason that they are targeting her specifically is because she is a woman, and that's the only reason why, when that is far from the reason why. It isn't even a reason why. Even though she is saying all of this and you see all the people in that studio clapping as if they were just trying to earn a paycheck, there is one person that we need to talk about. We'll get to him in just a second. His name is Adam Sessler, the shill lib that we were talking about in the previous video. We also have to talk about something that maybe not a lot of people who are talking about this on the internet are discussing, because the first thing we need to talk about is what Adam Sessler said just after that, because he basically was saying, and I'm going to paraphrase this because it does have a little expletive in it, and I tried to share this video, the previous video, to a particular Discord. I'm not going to name the Discord because I don't want people to dogpile them, and I don't have any ill feelings about any of this now, but they saw it as not safe for work because of what Froskurinn said. One of the lines that she had said concerning what men were thinking of doing when they saw her, which we talked about in the previous video. Go look at that. The card's up in the upper right hand corner. I'm not going to try to get myself in trouble with this one, but we'll see how this goes. I do want to warn people when they go to view that there is that line that she drops, and yeah, I got into a little bit of a fight with somebody concerning that, and I don't want to get into any more trouble with that. It is not YouTube. I don't give a crap what YouTube thinks about what I put on my channel. I do not care what YouTube thinks. If it was YouTube saying it, I can tell them to go pound sand, basically. However, let's get to what Adam basically said, was that he was glad to be working not just with Froskurinn, but with Gerard, Completionist, and the other black person, and I don't mean to be disparaging of him, but I don't know his name. I wish I did so I could tell you everything about him. I do not know anything about him, so my apologies there. But let's get to what Froskurinn said in the middle of all of this, and I want to focus on this because I said this was a rabbit hole we needed to go down. This was something that we needed to talk about because no one else is doing this, and when you hear it, I want you to really pay attention, because I believe that when you hear it and you listen to what I have to say about this, it may become obvious of the real reason, possible real reason, as to why this is even happening, because maybe she was admitting that G4 might not be playing on an ethical field. Here is that quote that she has said, and no, this does not contain any profane lines at all, but here it is.
Now, here at XPlay, our reviews are written and produced by a team of people. There are too many games for one person to shoulder the burden, so we divide and conquer. And when we use language like we or I, that's the reviewer. That's coming from the mouth and experience of the reviewer reading that review. And that's not to say that Gerard, TBH, Adam, or myself don't contribute to the reviews. We absolutely do. But it'll always be in varying degrees and take a whole team behind us. That's why we're XPlay and not Adam Play. We have done the experiment and controlled for the variables. Adam will read a script written by the same writer that I will read the other half of the script for.
So let me see if I heard that right. Froskurinn says that Adam reads part of the script and says part of the script, and then she says the other half. And they have a team of people who are writing this, and it's not just Adam or Indiana or whoever else. It is a whole team of people who are doing all of this, right? Can I ask one question about XPlay right now? Who's playing games? game? Who is sitting there playing the game, looking at the screen with the controller in their hand and forming their opinions based on what they see or hear or play? Because from what I'm gathering, there's no answer to that right now. And that's a big problem. That is an ethical problem. And yes, I did say ethics. I did say that word. Because if we don't know who's playing the game, we don't know whose opinion we are actually getting. Now, it could possibly be Adams. It could possibly be Indiana's. It could possibly be any other host we see on camera. But keep in mind, we did not hear anything about that from Indiana's speech. We did not hear any of that from Adam. We did not hear any of that at all. And many people are going to sit there saying they have for years of, why is this important? Why is this the most important thing ever? Well, aside from the fact that this is an expensive industry, this is an expensive hobby, every game is going to cost you upwards of maybe, if it's a AAA game, to about $60 plus. So you're going to want to spend your money on a game that you're going to enjoy. And if you can't hear about a game because some publisher is trying to, their hands dirty into trying to manipulate what people say about a game, then that's going to be dishonest to you, and you're going to spend your money on something that doesn't deserve your time or money. And not only do you not have enough money, no one does, but no one has enough time. You're going to want to spend your time and money on something you're going to enjoy, whether it be a single player game or a multiplayer game. So that is very important on that scale. And let's not get into how much the gaming consoles or parts for a new PC build are going to set you back. Let's not even get into that, because I figure you probably know, but you would probably be wanting to cry into a corner if you heard how much, at least I spent on getting a new build or wanting to get something up and running on my PC. And that's the same for other people who not only build a PC, but then maintain it to make sure it runs consistently right. So yes, this is an expensive hobby, and we want to make sure that we have games we're going to enjoy, that we have games that we are buying and then we're going to put into our systems, or we're going to download onto our hard drives that are going to be good for us, or we're going to enjoy. And plus, if there's a either indie developer or AAA developer who's trying to get their hands dirty and trying to manipulate the opinions or trying to get the space within your site or on your channel, guess what gets to be bumped? A game that might deserve it more. So that's the first thing. Now, the second thing is more damaging and more damning, and that is what would happen if a game were to not get coverage, or what would happen if you are putting one game over top of another. Remember, not only are you spending your time and money on games based upon these reviews and what you hear about these games, either by word of mouth or a YouTuber or any of these blogs, think about the thousands of developers whose jobs or livelihoods could be on the line. We see a lot of these times that studios do get either shut down or they get swallowed up by bigger corporations who don't care about what you think about them. We all know EA doesn't care. How many times have we talked about how Madden sucks, even though some mainstream blogs keep giving them high rankings or high ratings or high numbers, yet EA continues to just churn out the same things year after year after year as if no one's saying anything negative about that. How many times does EA keep doing it even though we shout from the rooftops every single time they put out a new game? Or how many times have we heard about how these developers of these studios all worship Metacritic and they're trying to make sure they get that one extra point? It would have been an 87, they wanted an 88 or else. That's how draconian it gets. And it could mean people's jobs, it could mean people's livelihoods, and we have seen it happen. And if a game is getting bumped that a developer can't afford to have it be bumped for another game that doesn't deserve the coverage and is only getting it because someone exploited their friendship with another person, or it's a sponsored content type of thing, then what does that mean for somebody's livelihood or job? That is a serious thing, and we want the video game industry to thrive. We are ecstatic that the video game industry is the multi-million-dollar industry that it is right now, but we need to keep it that way, and the way that we can keep it that way is if it flourishes with not only the AAA developers that actually care about the games that they put out there and not just putting out direct like EA likes to do all the time, but these indie developers that are with these bare bones developmental teams, or even worse, one person. Look at Stardew Valley. That was made by one person, and it is probably one of the most addictive things I think I'm playing right now. And we have seen what happens when it comes apparent that somebody is exploiting their friendships and playing nepotism. We end up having a firestorm because it is that important for those two things equally. So that's why the FTC has made it a requirement. It is a law for if you are accepting a sponsored deal to disclose it in your videos. It has to be on every single video you put out there. If you're covering a game and that game is being covered because someone asked you to do it, they'll give you money, then you have to put it on the video that you're making for them. It can't be on the side or anything like that. You have to be right in the video at the very beginning or the very end. And get this, G4 at the moment is on YouTube. So they do have to disclose it. Now, I'm not sure why print media or TV media doesn't have to do the same disclosure. I think the FTC should extend that law to include TV and print media. However, on this case, I think there is a big problem. What Froskurinn had said creates a big problem because I want to know who's playing the game. I want to know whose opinion that is that they're reading. I don't care who reads it. It could be Froskurinn, it could be Adam Sessler, it could be any of those other two, it could be someone backstage. You can hire Morgan and Olivia to both read them exactly page for page, word for word. And I still want to know who's playing it. Whose opinion are they discussing? Who are they the mouthpiece of? If it is them, then just come out and say it. They're not saying that. And that is not sitting right with me. And that is why I am really troubled by this. This should be the big story. This should be the real story of that rant. Not that she is trying to smear everybody else who criticized her for her lack of knowledge and a lack of enthusiasm for her job. And trying to say that it's because, oh, well, men can't do something when they look at her as opposed to when they look at Morgan or Olivia, as if they did that to Morgan or Olivia. But the real story here should be that she had dropped that line in the middle of everything, hoping that people would not notice it. And here I am. I noticed it and I am drawing attention to it. And I hope that everybody who's watching this right now understands that maybe someone can explain it a lot better than I could, but the fact of the matter is that I don't think a lot of people even realize that she has said that. And because of that, I want to be the one to draw attention to it. And I hope that the FTC looks into this because I do believe that if there is a question as to whether or not there's an ethics violation here, and there might be, because Adam Sessler is melting down on Twitter and blocking anybody who dares to call him out on any of this usual behavior of a shill lib. But if he's the person that is quote unquote xplay, if he's the figurehead of this, and if he's the one who asked for all of these people to come in, if he's the one that's saying that he's proud of the people he's working with, then maybe we should look into him first. Maybe we should ask who's playing the game that they are reviewing. On that script that is being written, that Froskurinn and Adam Sessler are half and half reading it. Whose opinion is that they're the mouthpieces for? Because if it's not them, then we have a big ethics problem. I'm being dead serious about this. I have played video games since I was 2 years old. I have a deep passion for this industry and what it means. It means something very sentimental to me. It is something that's got me through a lot of horrible times. It's getting me through a really tough time right now. And it's helping me get through this. It's helping me get through that tough time and a lot of other tough times. It has helped me do a lot of things to help me get my mind off of a lot of things. And if I didn't have any fun playing these games, if I had only those games that the corporate elites wanted me to play because they wanted to line their pockets when I want to get my mind off of certain things, at least for a few moments, then I have a problem. And if I didn't have this, and if it dies because of those corporate bigwigs and those corporate elites are trying to poison the well, then yes, we have a huge problem. And if there are people who are losing their jobs and have to go somewhere else but they don't want to go, or they can't get the kinds of benefits or the type of pay they need in order to put food on the table in the economy that sucks as much as it is right now, then yes, there's a huge problem. So yes, I would call on the FTC to at least look into what Froskurinn just said, because that is the real story here. And I believe that everything else she said could be a possible distraction. Maybe we need to keep our eye on a ball right now. There are two things that she's trying to distract and gaslight. One is, of course, her notion that, oh, well, it's just men thinking that they can't look at her the same way to look at Olivia or Morgan, which is untrue. And she's lying because the real reason why they're targeting her specifically is because she sucks at her job. And second of all, it is a distraction from this bigger situation. Could there be an ethics violation at G4? And is that the reason why they're continuing to double down on this? And if you are a YouTuber, if you are a Twitch streamer right now, and you're watching this and you cheer this on as if they were talking to you, guess what? They're not talking to you. They don't care about you. These people, these types of people do not care about you. They only care about you as long as you fall in line completely with their viewpoints. If you go even the slightest bit out of line, they will ostracize you. Do you see what they did with Melanie Mac? They will do that to you too. Did you see what they did with Lindsay Ellis? They will do that to you too. They won't think twice. They don't care about you. Stop thinking they do. Stop cheering this. Because maybe the YouTube scene is telling the truth. Maybe this is not conspiracy theories. Maybe we are correct. Stop believing Reset Era. Stop believing those people. Stop believing people like this. Because maybe it is YouTube that is trying to warn you that this is going on. Take this seriously. We're begging you to take it seriously. If you are somebody on a Twitch streamer or on YouTube who retweeted this with cheers, do us a favor and at the very least hear us out, because they are lying to you about the real reason why any of this is even happening. She lied to you. She would do it again without any kind of shame. Adam Sessler would do the exact same thing. He has done this for years, and they're trying to interject something that no one was ever thinking about when they criticized her. Her specifically. We are allowed to criticize a female. We are allowed to criticize her because she is putting herself out there just as much as anybody else is, and she has a lot more baggage and she has a lot more to prove than Morgan Olivia did. And Morgan Olivia should be embarrassed and insulted that this woman is using their names in order to get away with silencing and shutting people up and saying they don't have a right to criticize her. And if you do, you're going to be labeled like this. Everybody who was involved in this on that stage and backstage during that whole spiel should be ashamed of themselves. I mean that sincerely. Shame on her for even thinking she deserves that spot and deserves to utter those two names in the same breath, in the same sentence as any of this. They have 10 times the talent that she will ever have. And if Adam had any integrity, which he doesn't, but let's assume for a second that he has some shred of integrity left, he would also set the record straight about who is actually playing these games that they are reviewing. And if they're not going to do that, then the FTC, you need to get into this. You need to start investigating them right now. And once they do that, I might be hoping for the best, but I am well sure expecting the worst. My name's JD Shadow, and that just happened.